Hello everybody, it's Low Life Kitten here, and I am back. Also, I apologize about the wet hair. I just got out of the shower, and I remembered I needed to post for Monday. And other than my last video, this is my first official video. If you haven't seen me reintroduce myself, please go check out that video. Links in the description. Now you might be wondering, what is this video? And this video is specifically why, out of all the Shameless characters, Fiona Gallagher is probably my least favorite. If you haven't seen Shameless US, I definitely recommend going to see it because it is on Netflix, so if you have Netflix, it's readily available to you. If you haven't seen it, then maybe if you don't want to watch it, I'll just explain it. Shameless is about a bunch of kids trying to survive the rough side of Chicago, which is known as South Side Chicago. Oddly enough, I grew up in Illinois myself. I lived about 3.5 hours away from Chicago in another rough area, right in between Indiana and Illinois. So the behavior in this show, coming from an Illinois native, is very, very close to how people actually act there. Plus, I think it's really, really cool that they actually shot most of it in Chicago. But I'd honestly be surprised if you've never seen this show because it is so popular. His ran for so long, literally from, I believe, 2011 until like 2021 to 2023. Upon fact checking, it was 2011 to 2021. That makes this show over 134 episodes. So if you don't know what Shameless is, you're a little bit out of the loop. The show is mostly about how inner city kids struggle with poverty, drug addiction, mental illness, and more. And has honestly been one of my favorite shows since I was like 17. I am now 23, so it's been a while. But we're not here to talk about the Gallagher children, we're here to talk about Fiona Gallagher, the beloved character that everybody sees as a saint. Fiona Gallagher is a maid parent because her father and her mother are shit parents, to say the least. And although I have respect for Fiona Gallagher, that does not change the bad things that she has done, and it's time to critique those. So, do you remember all of Fiona Gallagher's love interest? Let's talk about that first. Fiona chooses men over her family constantly.
You married a guy you barely even know! Do you even love them? Or do you still love Jimmy? Or maybe Sean? Or some other cute guy you run into on the street?
Okay. And then turns around and bitches when somebody else chooses someone else over the family. One of the biggest, things that come from this is probably Jimmy. I don't know who Jimmy is. He's also known as Steve. Spoiler. But this man is a walking red flag. Fiona doesn't even think, I just met this dude, maybe I shouldn't bring him home. But in the first episode, this woman brings a stranger back to a house full of children after he does a few reckless ass things. If I'm being honest, their relationship was probably one of my favorites, as I really liked the character Jimmy, but that does not change the fact that Fiona basically brought a stranger into her home that was a known criminal. She ends up finding out about this later, that he is a white-collar criminal, boosting and selling cars that aren't his. And you would think that any parent, anybody that is responsible for children, would know to not have a known criminal at their house. Can't really get rid of the ones that are in the family, so. But none of them were as serious as this shit. Of course, this turns into one of the oldest Gallagher children, Mr. Lip Gallagher, which was one of my favorite characters in the show, him and Mickey. He ends up getting involved in the shit. Lip ends up arrested because of this. Plus, I will never understand why when Fiona and Jimmy separate, why she ever took him back after all the lies and shit that were spewed at her. Because it was very clear this man wasn't good. I could go further into this whole Fiona chooses men over her family, but I am not wanting this video to be 35 minutes long, so we're gonna move on. If you've watched the show, you know the more of the examples of her doing this shit. Here's my second reason. Fiona constantly acts like she's the only one that sacrifices. She showed this with the situation with Liam, which will be brought up later in this video. Anybody that has watched the show and hears me say that will know exactly what I'm talking about. But again, if you haven't watched Shameless, please go watch it on Netflix. It's an amazing show that shows what growing up in a rough part of the city is actually like. But Fiona does this constantly, pretending that she's the only one in the family that has ever had to sacrifice anything.
Back to jail.
Of course, this is all about you.
Yes, it's about me, okay? Because it's never about me, and I'm finally making it about me.
She constantly puts the kids down for doing this. Was this something that really gets to me? Fiona signed up for custody of the Gallagher children, which makes her a legal guardian. You can't just sign the papers and expect not to have the responsibility of it. What the fuck? Children are not animals. They're not something that you can go, well, I don't really want to take care of this anymore. I guess I'll take it to the shelter. But she constantly tries to make the kids feel bad for the fact that she has to sacrifice for the family, even though she made the decision to. Lip at one point even says, like, hey, girl, you can leave. I can handle this. We can handle ourselves. Just go enjoy your life. And she's like, nah, you need me. I know you said you don't need me, but you need me. And this same thing continues throughout the show, but then Fiona actually causes more issues by the time that, like, let's talk about the time that she left the money out for Monica. Come on, girl, you grew up in poverty. You know you hide the money from drug addicts. What the fuck? And this swoops us into the next reason. She constantly complains about having to take care of the kids. And here's some examples.
You could just speed it up a
You
little
want to
bit.
be a smartass? You want my help?
I'm taking my time with this because I want you all to remember this. How hard you tried not to have to come to me. Because if you didn't have to come to me, then maybe you could just get through all this without having to admit one simple truth. Which is that I was right.
If you're gonna sign up for custody of the kids, don't complain about having to take care of the damn kids. She even goes as far as telling them that they have to pay their own way, which has been proven to be shit for the mental psyche. She does this to Debbie, which is underage, until later on in the episode. She constantly makes Debbie feel like shit for having emotions. Debbie had just had a kid. She was still learning, and Fiona gave no advice on how to get above in the world because she had also been relying on money from the other kids, such as Lip, Carl, and Ian. She made her financial stress the kids that she was supposed to be guarding from the stress of being in poverty very knowledgeable about the fact about how poor they were and just like how much they were struggling. Which you might disagree with me, but you don't say that shit to a fucking 10-year-old, you know, especially back in like seasons 1 and 2 when she was talking to Debbie and Carl about this stuff. That was none of their business. Lip wasn't even graduated at this time, and he was still like doing crime to make sure that they could pay for things. And that is a direct situation that her, Frank, and Monica put them in. But then again, Fiona is the legal guardian. She needs to act like one. My next point. She is constantly putting these children in danger. From her choice in men to shitty-ass decisions that she makes with the household's finances. I'm going to reiterate the time that she left money out and Monica got a hold of it. In the words of Lip Gallagher during that situation, you always hide the money.
Fine, but it's hard to tell because he's normally concussed more than he isn't.
Well, don't let him fall asleep.
What, you're AWOL this whole time? Now you're giving orders?
I was around.
Really? So you know Monica spent all the squirrel fund money? You know what? I wouldn't have even had the cash to bail her out if I didn't return a bunch of dolls I found in Debbie's room. The first rule you learn in this house, you hide the goddamn money.
She also has a habit of disappearing for months, weeks, sometimes like a full year. Here's the next reason. She tries to force somebody to get a fucking abortion. Debbie gets pregnant, and I understand that teen pregnancy is a huge problem, especially here in the US, but you don't force somebody to get a fucking abortion or think that it's your job to tell them what to do with their body.
Hey, don't do this. Please. Don't have a baby. It's a mistake.
I know who I love and I know what I want. Even if you don't.
Debbie probably didn't need the damn kid. I will say that. She was irresponsible. I don't like Debbie. She's one of my least favorite, characters in Shameless, along with Fiona. But whether or not she had her kid was up to her. Not Fiona, because that's not Fiona's baby. She only wanted to make Debbie have one because she was having one because she was nervous about having to take care of it. She also doesn't go anywhere to try to support Debbie after having the kid and show her the proper ways of, being a fucking adult, which is your job as the damn guardian. Debbie shouldn't have been acting that way anyway if you would have just fucking been there. Now off to the biggest reason why I hate this bitch.
Attorney. You cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you. Do you understand your rights as I've read them to you?
She almost killed Liam. I had specifically brought up this point on TikTok. And here's the video if you want to see part of it that I guess just fucking wrecked TikTok. They hated me for saying this. At the end of the day, when you almost took a child's life, you're not the good guy. Especially when you signed up for custody for the kids. Like, you signed up for that job. When multiple people had told you this is a lifetime commitment. But I'm sorry, you leave drugs out for a kid to get a hold of and then get a hold of those drugs and almost OD, that's on you. One of the things that I don't talk about very much for my personal life is the fact that I actually have a cousin that hurt a kid because of drug use. Here's her mugshot. My family uses the same fucking excuse that TikTok thinks that they can use with this shit. Well, she was a drug addict. She didn't mean to. I don't give a fuck. If I'm a drug addict and I go out to the street with a gun, right, and I point it at somebody and I blow their head off and I'm a fucking alcoholic, right? Does that change the fact that I took an innocent person's life or that I hurt an innocent person? Being a drug addict is not an excuse to hurt anyone, especially a fucking child. No one would be defending Fiona if she and then went in there and beat the shit out of Liam. Then she would be a bad person. Or if Liam would have actually passed away from getting that shit, people would hate that bitch because she would be a baby killer. But Liam didn't die. Liam ended up completely recovering, so Fiona's a good guy. She was just an addict. She was just an addict, but she didn't feel any remorse for what she did. She didn't even feel like she did anything wrong. It was just a mistake. Which brings me to my next point as to why I hate Fiona Gallagher. I am just going to put one specific scene to go with this one because I don't even feel like I need to explain this point. So, here you are.
What do you want to do with that?
Why wouldn't I do that?
Because you'll get convicted.
You don't know that.
Yes, I do.
I made a mistake.
You're guilty.
It was an accident.
You almost killed Liam.
You don't think I know that? You don't think I'm blaming myself enough already, so I need you to do it too?
So how long you in prison if you lose?
5 years.
All right, so that makes me almost 25, still at home, taking care of the kids.
I know I can win.
Ghetto chick leaves her drug addict boyfriend's coke out for a 3-year-old brother to eat. Half a gram in the system. Yeah, you're right. You can totally win.
I didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah, but you did it.
I turned my back for like 2 seconds. And now my life is ruined? How is that fair?
You're his guardian. You signed up for this.
I can't go back to jail.
Of course, this is all about you.
Yes, it's about me, okay? Because it's never about me, and I'm finally making it about me.
So what, I'm supposed to drop out of school while you do 5 years?
I'm not guilty!
Liam almost died! And that was you! All fucking you! Your coke, your boyfriend, your fucked up life! It's not mine! All right?
If Fiona was a TikToker or a YouTuber, she would have been canceled by now. And I guess that I wanted to make these videos, one, because I really care about the show. Shameless is one of my favorite shows. I relate to the area that they grew up in. I relate to a lot of the characters and the situations that they're put in. It is just a very big comfort show for me. And although I respect Fiona for everything that she did do for the kids, we have to acknowledge that she has made mistakes. And not just mistakes. Big fucking boo-boos. Boo-boos. Those are the reasons that I am canceling Fiona Gallagher, and thank you for tuning in to Fictitious. Cancel. Peace.